Oh, I think we're live. Evening all. Hello, everyone. Saturday night. In the international break, all a bit miserable. We like club football, not bloody international football, especially when Bowen ain't playing. Good evening to everyone in the chat. Chris, how you doing? It's been at least an hour since I saw you.
I'm doing all right, mate. Yeah, nice full belly. How about you?
Yeah, it was very nice. Very nice. What I can't remember. It was a prawn, king prawn something, wasn't it? I can't remember.
You had the king prawn linguine.
I did.
And I had the kebabs without wraps until I found out later on in the evening.
Really flash kebab hung on a hook, right? And yeah, there was these pancakes in this little pancake holder underneath, and he didn't know they existed until he'd finished the kebab. Bit of a waste, really. So it's horrible to see a man visibly heartbroken like that.
Just to clarify, I'm not the only one. I think most people in that restaurant that ordered the same dish had the exact same issue. I was watching them. I saw them all. They were all eating away. They didn't even realise.
I know. You said you went to the toilet again, but you didn't, did you? You did a circuit of restaurants to see if anybody had opened their pancakes.
Absolutely disgraceful.
I know. So we've got quite a lot to talk about tonight. There's one big thing which is alluded to in the thumbnail, and that is a big West Ham weakness that's been exposed. I'm not sure whether you know it's there or not, because I didn't know it was there, I must admit, until I was kind of loosely aware of it, but I didn't realise it was such a repeating theme. But it's a vulnerability that we've got that was there on game 1 against Villa, and it was still there against Ipswich, even though we won 4-1. Yeah. So we're going to talk about that, because if we don't fix it against Spurs, it could get exposed again. All right. So we're going to come back to that afterwards. Let's we've got, well, the current topic of conversation, I guess, is Mohamed Kudus, because there's loads and loads of stories. If you look at news now tonight, he's being linked now with Barcelona, Liverpool, Arsenal, West Ham talking about, bumping the price up. I'm not sure we can. I think he's got an 85 million release clause, isn't he? I think.
Yeah, apparently he does. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not sure how much more we can boost the price up above that. What's your reading on this, Chris?
Well, I think it's no surprise, is it, really? Liverpool have always been in the chase for him. With regards to City, I know Pep has been waxing lyrical about him as well for a little while. So, again, that wouldn't be a surprise destination. But, yeah, Barcelona coming into the fray, again, wouldn't be surprised, because he's at that level. He's at that level. And I think we know that if he was to join a team like Barcelona, I think he'd be exceptional there. He'd probably just step it up a gear or two, wouldn't he, playing for a team like that? So, no surprise. I just think the only downer really is 85, 86 million, whatever it's going to be. It's never going to be enough, is it, for a player of his ability?
He is top quality. There's no getting away from it. I think, I was so impressed with the way he responded to that nonsense that happened the week before, where him and Loppy fell out at half time. There are two ways you can deal with that as a player. You can either get your head down, or you can or you can sulk, right? He decided not to sulk. He got his head down and delivered probably one of his best performances of the season. And that would have showed other teams what kind of guy he is. And we kind of knew what kind of guy he is already. He made a very big difference. So I'm going to leave that sign up, because you can see the sign's back, and it's blue and it's working. Well, it's other colours as well, but it actually works. It actually works. Right?
We're all waiting for it to fall down, mate. That's what it is.
What has happened here? Why have I gone into frozen mode?
I don't know, but there's a thumb by your head, mate.
Yeah, I know. Come off. What's happened? How's this work? I don't know why I've frozen, people. This has never happened to me before. It's never happened to me before. I'm going to remove myself from stage and come back in 1 minute.
Brilliant. I think it's Gary's sign.
I'm still frozen. I pointed to the sign.
You've just got a black screen, mate.
I know. That's mad, isn't it? That's mad. I'll tell you what, I'm going to come out of StreamYard and come back in, because this is bloody annoying, isn't it? What's happened?
I think it's your sign, mate. I think your
is
sign
the curse.
All kind of havoc, mate.
As Claire says here, it's the curse of the sign. It definitely is. It definitely is. Move to stage, solo layout. Let me have a quick look at my settings in here. It was fine just now, as you saw. Right, okay. I'm going to have to exit StreamYard.
Yeah, when you go, I'm just going to look at some of the chats while you're off.
Yeah, I'm going to exit StreamYard without actually exiting, otherwise it'll turn the stream off. 1 second.
All right, Gary, Chris, hope you're both okay. No problem. Slight problem with Gary's camera at the minute, unfortunately. Evening, Claire. How you doing? Evening, Mark. Yeah, we are back. Should have some interesting things to talk about this evening, actually. In particular, as Gary's already kind of alluded to, some of the potential weaknesses that we might have on our. Well, we'll talk about that in just a moment, anyway.
No, go and carry on. It was bloody StreamYard. How much do I pay for this? StreamYard.
It's the sign, mate. Don't blame StreamYard. It's a sign.
Yeah, it was weird.
Evening, John.
Evening, Green Badge. It froze.
And let's go back up. Nice sign, Gary. There we go. Do you know, as soon as we put that comment up, that's when you froze.
I know.
That's exactly when it froze.
It froze with like a little thumbs up on my head.
Yeah,
which was weird. Yeah. I think, going back to Kudus, I mean, Rob's saying here about 50 million. Yeah, look, I think that is good business. It is good business. I don't know if we can make 50 million on him, no, because he's what did we buy him for? I can't remember. It was around about 40, wasn't it? 45 million.
Yeah, something around that mark.
Yeah. And we've got an 85 million release clause, the same as Paqueta had. The 85 million release clause. We paid 35 for him, according to Rob. So yeah, that's not bad. Then 50 million profit. You got to say he put in a lot of good performances for us last year. He was the highlight of last season. Let's be honest. And I think we all saw last year that he's absolute top class. And many of us said one day he's going to be playing for a Barcelona or a Real Madrid or something like that. But I think he's coming a little bit sooner than many of us saw, right? I thought he'd at least stay until the summer. I suppose the writing's on the wall when he nipped across to the Emirates to watch Arsenal the other week, right? Which I personally didn't like very much.
Well, as long as he don't end up at Arsenal, I think it's inevitable he's going to leave. But going to Arsenal would just be a major kick in the bollocks, right? I don't think I wouldn't take that too well at all. Really wouldn't. But yeah, I mean, I think Kudus is 85 million. Again, I know that's his release clause, but I think what makes it even worse when you think about some of the players that have gone for similar amounts of money, and in some cases more than 85 million, and then you compare them against someone like Kudus, and then you just realise that we are going to get absolutely stung if he goes for 85, and that's a sickener, right? Because you want West Ham, if we let him go, to make a good profit on him, because I mean, I'm talking a sizable profit. Because for me, he's got to be over at the 100 million mark. He's without a question for me.
Well, he is, but the thing is, if you've got a release clause and it's set to a certain amount, I'm not sure how much of a bidding war there could be. He's used as a stepping stone. Yeah, and look, Andy, they all have. Let's not kid ourselves, right? Paqueta has used us as a stepping stone. If only his family hadn't put a bet on him getting booked, I think we would have been a stepping stone for him. But Alvarez, he saw his next move being Man United, right? I don't mind these players to a certain extent using us as a stepping stone at the moment in this moment of our development as we're building. If they're going to get their big move onto a bigger club, they've got to do bloody well for us, right? And he has done bloody well for us. And up until this season, Alvarez did bloody well for us as well. And up until halfway through last season, so did Paqueta. Who's got £100 million? That's the problem, right? With FFP. Although, if you look at the judgment that was made on Man City, when they challenged that, there was a ruling, if you remember, a long time ago now, where the FA, I think it was the Premier League, stepped in and said, no, you can't take, untold money from a sponsorship deal of your training ground and use it as football income, because you remember the guy that owned Man City, his cousin was sponsoring the training ground for about 100, 200 million a year or something like that. That was seen as unfair because it was clearly a scam, right? There's no way anyone's sponsoring anyone's training ground for that much money. But anyway, Man City, they accused the FA of anti-competitive behaviour, and they won. They won last week. Now, I don't know what that does for the FFP, if that means that now they can count football income as including what they get from the rich cousin funding the training ground. It makes a fucking shambles of all of those new rules. And so what's the point? What is the point in all of those rules? I think it's going to be a bit embarrassing if they end up scrapping it when you consider how many clubs they've fined, how many clubs they've punished. And they've been quite tough, some of these punishments, haven't they? right? He had his 85 million release clause. It was time limited to 1 month. Yeah, but I thought it was 1 month in this transfer window just gone and the next transfer window. Am I wrong with that? I don't know.
So you're saying after the next transfer, so after July, so not this coming window, the one after that, so the summer window. After that, essentially that buyout clause or that clause is no longer applicable.
That's what I thought. I thought the buyout clause was for 2 periods. I thought it was for the window just gone and the next window. I could be completely wrong in that, but that's what I heard. Yeah, look, Kudus, if he goes to a major European club, I said it from the beginning, you've only got to look at the guy to realise that he has the talent to be true world class, right?
He does.
He's different gravy, isn't he, the bloke? He really is. Can you imagine the number of goals he'd score if he played in a team that was on the attack for 90% of the game?
Yeah, I know. Well, that's the thing, right? I mean, that's what we've seen what he's like when the shackles are off and he's attacking and he's constantly in the final 2/3 of the pitch. He causes all kinds of problems, right? But if he's got other players there that will enable and facilitate him to do that and to attack that way, he'll be unstoppable. He'll be absolutely unstoppable. It's just a shame that we get it out of him at West Ham, but not enough because we know he's got so much more to give. But maybe it's because the way we're playing at the moment hasn't necessarily enabled him to play, or live up to, I guess, his kind of talent. But he's still exceptional. Do you know what I mean? I just think he's going to get better and better. That's it.
Well, I don't think he's going to get any, better and better playing for us necessarily, because I don't think we're going to take the maximum advantage of a player like him, given the way that we play. Unless we figure
out where his truly best position is. That's the thing, right? Because I think most of us always think it's the right hand side, maybe playing in at 10. That's the thing. We just got to get him in his right position, and maybe we could. But I suppose again, Lopetegui's still trying to suss a lot of stuff out, isn't it? So,
and Damien DeMarco says, I think Paqueta's was only the as in the buyout clause was only valid for 2 summers. I mean,
don't matter anymore, though, does it? Let's be honest.
Well, I mean, should we talk about Paqueta for a minute? Because there's been a lot of news about that since we last got together on here, and we know that the case is coming up. That it's going to be heard in March, I believe, or April, towards the end of the season anyway. So we might get the whole season out of him. But it's long been my assumption that, I won't call him a co-conspirator because no one's been found guilty of anything, and I hope he isn't. But what's likely to happen? I think what's likely to happen is, if you look at what's happened to this other guy who was accused with him, he played for Marseille. He was then loaned from Marseille back to Brazil, and he's playing happily in Brazil. Now, word on the street a few months ago was that that'll be fine. You can play in Brazil because it's not under the jurisdiction of UEFA. And FIFA won't get involved. They won't touch it. So he could carry on playing for Brazil, even if he was, in theory, found guilty. Now, I suppose it depends, how guilty he is. And really, only Paqueta will know that. It will be very disappointing if the FA convict him on a trumped-up charge, right? And that, to me, he handed his phone over. This is the latest set of charges. He handed his phone over to the FA. The FA had that phone for 8 weeks. Now, I'm sorry. 8 weeks is enough to drag any piece of data you like off of that phone, and they should have dragged every piece of data, right? Because it ain't going to be stuff that's happened from the date he's given the phone back. It's historical data that they want, right? Around transactions, at least I assume so. So unless there was a transaction after the time he gave the phone back, that would be very different. But I very much doubt that. I very much doubt that could be the case.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with what you're saying. I think they've had more than enough time with his mobile phone to, as you say, kind of pull of the data they needed to pull out. Yeah. But that being said, I don't understand why Paqueta has got rid of his phone, because presumably, the FA or whatever would have said to him, you need to keep hold of that phone. I would have imagined that would have been the case. So I don't think it doesn't do him any favors by getting rid of the phone. I know that he's going to obviously have a new phone, but why actually completely get rid of it? It no longer exists. He doesn't do himself any favors by doing that, Gal. I know that I get your point, but it's still, to me
that he's either very stupid or he's got something to hide.
Well, exactly. And I don't. I mean, I love Paqueta. I think he's a world-class
too.
player, but it's just, I think it's just so frustrating because, as we know, he's not played well for such a long spell for West Ham now. It's very infrequent in terms of the good performances that he turns up, when he turns up for West Ham. And so is it playing on him? It must be playing on him 100%. But even more so if he's guilty. This is the thing, if he's guilty, and it is a big if, but I can't help but think there is guilt there, mate. I can't help but think that.
But we did hear in the summer that he was pushing for that move to Brazil, which is similar to what his mate has got, right? That from Marseille. So I still wouldn't be surprised if he is guilty, this lack of form could be down to him trying to force that move by making himself pretty useless for the team. I'm not saying he's useless because he isn't, but he's a 50% Paqueta is better than most other players. Let's face it, he's a good player. But having said that, he ain't been the same Paqueta. He's not been the same Paqueta since he came back from that injury last year. The FA have to be seen to do something about the bets. Well, yeah, but not trumped up charges. That's what I'm saying. If there is clear evidence to link Uncle Bruno and cousin whoever it is, right, who sent that $5,000 to that other player, and there's a clear trail to link Paqueta to that, I don't want them to just convict him because he's destroyed a mobile phone that they had access to for 8 weeks. If it is something like data would have appeared on that phone after he received the phone back, then I understand the problem. But if it's to look back at transactions that happened before he was handed the phone back, then that's inexcusable for the FA, and I'm sure any legal representative will point that out. Having said that, it's down to humans and 3 humans and what they think on the balance of probabilities. Now, it's worrying. It's worrying that they're coming up with these charges because it tells me they don't really have any other evidence, and so they're putting a few charges in there as fail-safes because there's no doubt about it. They're accusing him of not providing all the evidence based on he lost the phone. He can't really deny that, right? So he's going to get found guilty of that at the very minimum, right? At the very least. Hopefully that would be a fine rather than a lifetime ban, but who knows? Who knows? I'm sure it would be a fine because, like I said, surely a lawyer will be able to point out that 8 weeks is enough with a handset to pull every bit of data off of it. Yeah.
What do you make out of West Ham not backing him at the minute then with regards to these charges, right? Because they're obviously not putting the money up front to defend him, are they? That's going to come out of his own pocket, which, by the way, I think it should do. What do you think about that?
I don't know. I don't know whether West Ham want to keep their distance from it, or whether they don't want to spend the money, or whether they just think it's all on him and they know more than we do. Who knows? Who knows? I don't want to second guess Sullivan and Brady, but Real Betis, the other geezer, is now in Brazil. Yep. So it's a lot of money that we can end up losing on him. 85 million. It's a lot of money. But having said that, when you look at his current form, he ain't worth 85 million anymore.
No, he's not.
The player we had the first half of last season before he got injured was worth more than 100 million. That player was quality. That player defended for his life. He was filthy. He was going for challenges. He wasn't giving the ball away all the time. And he could open up a defence in the blink of an eye. He's capable of doing that. But at the moment, he's either feeling guilty or he's under pressure because the trial's going on. He could be completely innocent, or he's trying to force a move. What is it? I don't know. I hope it's the former rather than the latter.
Do you think, Al, right? Do you think that West Ham would continue to play him if they believe that he's guilty?
No, I don't. I hope not anyway. And what Rob says here is exactly my point. It's a handset. You need a couple of hours and some software. There's a special bit of software you can drag everything off of a phone. Yeah. Police do it all the time, right? There's no need to have another look at a handset unless you think he's carrying on using that handset, which he wouldn't do anyway, because 8 weeks he would have got a new handset, right?
He would have done, yeah.
So it's weird, Rob. It's weird. So I see Guilherme as someone capable of filling Paqueta's shoes. Well, we'll see on that one. He's very fast, but I don't know about creativity at the moment. We'll see.
Well, they're different players, aren't they? I mean, Guilherme is essentially a winger, isn't he? He's a right winger. Maybe can play on the left-hand side. So, he's not a 10. And I think you're right. I don't see him as being one of those guys that can, play one of those kind of Hollywood balls. He's not. I don't know because we've not seen enough of him, but I don't think that's his game from what I've read and from what I've seen so far.
I think I'm going to have to read this in a posh accent. Many felicitations, commendations for Gary and Chris. My illustrious commendation and compliments to both. Thank you very much. Words and pictures. That was in like a pre-war kind of BBC accent, right? Not sure how the FA could access bank transfer without a criminal investigation. No, they wouldn't be able to access his bank account and stuff. And that's the thing. You know, we've all got these things on our phone now, right? We've all got the apps. You don't need a bloody phone to look at bank transactions, do you? You go to the bank. You know, he could get those bank accounts. So I think that's nonsense, trumped up nonsense. The only thing you can't get online, unless you've got it set up online like I have, is WhatsApp, because it's encrypted end to end, you know, and any other thing you might use like Telegram, whatever, right? So so I don't know what else they would be looking for. So that's why I think it just doesn't smell right. It doesn't smell right. It smells that they haven't got enough evidence and they're putting something in there as a failsafe. That's what it smells like. And if they are, I hope they fucking come unstuck. And if that pressure of the trial is what's playing on his mind and what is making him play so badly, then I genuinely hope he comes out and gets totally, you know, his name gets cleared. And if it doesn't, if he does get found guilty, and there is a lot of evidence that says he is guilty, because we won't know until afterwards, we can assume as much as we like, right? Then I will have no sympathy for him.
Yeah.
What about you?
No, I wouldn't. You already know my thoughts on this. I love him as a player. I think he's fantastic, but at the moment, he's nowhere near the level, as we've already just mentioned, that we know that he's capable of. So from my perspective, if he is found, you know, unequivocally guilty of these charges, then as far as I'm concerned, he can fuck off, because, you know, to do what he's done ultimately is to the detriment of West Ham. If he's, you know, getting yellow cards in certain games, those games could have gone completely pear-shaped for us, right? Could have such a big impact on our season. And the thing is, I love Paqueta, and I know, and I will defend him absolutely, and it's all innocent until proven guilty. But let's not forget, you know, that he wanted to leave West Ham at the start of last season, I think. Yeah, some people have very short memories. He wanted to go, right? He had one foot set in the Etihad already.
Yeah, this ain't someone that loves West Ham, right? Well, exactly. He don't love West Ham. He's here because he has to be here.
Yeah, well, exactly. By default, because of what's happened, he's still at West Ham. Yeah. And ever since that's happened, he's not been the same player, arguably, apart from the first part of last season. So
was he playing for a move beforehand? Is that what you're saying?
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying he's necessarily playing for a move. I think he was just playing to the levels that we know and he knows he's capable of. But I think ever since those charges came out, it's like, well, do you know what? Fucking hell, I'm stuck. I'm stuck here at a club that maybe I didn't necessarily want to be at. I'm sure he likes being at West Ham, but he preferred to be at Man City. He wanted to play for a bigger club and he wanted to go out and win trophies, right? And I get that. I understand that. I respect that. But yeah, look, I mean, we'll back him. But here's the thing. We could back Paqueta. And let's say, for instance, he gets off of these charges and he has a really good second half of the season and the big clubs come calling, he'll piss off. That's the reality of it. You know, it's true, isn't it? Right. So I don't know. I'm trying to look at the whole picture with Paqueta. Yes, I love him as a player. Yes, he's fantastic. He's one of our best. He's one of the most talented players we've seen at West Ham for a long time.
Yeah.
But he's not delivering to the levels that we know he can. No. And also we know that if he's guilty, then we ain't going to be happy and he can piss off. But if he's not guilty and he has a great second half of the season and he leaves West Ham, then what? Do you know what I mean? So I don't know. It's a funny one, really, isn't it? I suppose you just got to look at the wider and bigger picture with Paqueta.
Yeah. I think so. Yeah, we've got to see how it pans out. But, you know, all this is just distracting us. In fact, it's the last season of physical season cars and a concession fiasco. Yeah, we'll talk about concessions later, maybe. Listen, the one thing I think about City buying Paqueta is that he gave the ball away 20 times against Chelsea. Do you honestly think that Pep would put up with that shit? Not a chance, right? Not a chance. You know what they do at City? They prod and they probe, and if the pass ain't on, they recycle it. And they prod and they probe, pass it on, recycle it. He ain't going to be... I think he plays a lot of those balls over the top, a lot of those Hollywood balls, because he's at West Ham and he knows he can, right? And that hacks me off. I've got to be honest.
I don't know. I mean, I love it when he tries those, because he's the one person that is capable of playing those types of balls. We don't have anyone else that can play those types of passes.
No, it's 1 in 100, Chris. 1 in 100.
I mean, I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's fair saying 1 in 100. I think it's probably better than that in terms of the ratio. But the reality is, when you talk about 20 times he gave the ball away against Chelsea. You tell me a game prior to all of this coming out, obviously last season, where he gave the ball away 20 times in a game. I couldn't tell you because I don't think that happened.
Yeah. No, look, I haven't looked at the stats for the other games. I just know that one stood out a bit against Chelsea, so I couldn't tell you. But if you look at this, what Randy said here, if he's not guilty, then the FA and will have West Ham and Paqueta suing them. Well, I don't know, because all they're doing is following up an accusation, and it looks like quite a valid accusation, whether he's involved or not, about irregular betting patterns in Brazil. Right, so it's a valid case to investigate. So I don't think you can actually sue them for investigating something they've been asked to investigate. And that all of the football authorities, Randy, are overprotective of the betting organisations. It's their bread and butter, isn't it? They might be banning sports betting on the shirts, but it's still available in the stadium for anyone that wants it.
Do you know what I hope in terms of what the outcome will be is if, again, hypothetically speaking, he is found absolutely not guilty, and he starts playing well again for West Ham to levels that we know he can, that he actually chooses to stay at West Ham, irrespective of any potential big clubs coming in for him, to actually show a bit of loyalty to us that, you know what, we've backed him, we've stood by him, and look, I'll continue to stand by him until he is found either guilty or whatever, right? But I just hope that he basically shows that loyalty to the club, because I think he owes that to the fans if that's the case. I do.
What Daniela is saying, now I agree with you there, by the way. Because we have stuck by him through thick and thin. What Daniela says here, I thought it was the replacement phone they're asking for, which, unless they think he doesn't, he done more betting. He's bloody hope not, Daniela. Then they might have, they might have a right to it. Well, I don't know. It depends. It depends. I don't know how these. It would be good to have a legal mind actually, because I don't know how these work. If you're asked to submit all your evidence on a certain date, is that evidence up to that point, or is it any evidence up to that point and any time in the future? I don't know. But I suppose it depends on the terms, what they're actually asking you for. But I didn't hear that part, but you might be right. I thought it was his original phone that he handed in, they gave it back, and then he destroyed it.
That's what I understood, yeah.
Yeah. So Jay says, I think the FA are worried the case will be unproven. That bought only Paqueta. Vote West Ham will sue them. Feels like we've lost him. He's half the player he was before this came out. Yeah, he is at the moment. But again, if he is innocent, I would understand that. It must be immense pressure, right?
Yeah.
And by the way, I thought he was playing well for Brazil, but he's not. He got taken off, I think, at half time the other day because, and there was this famous Brazilian journalist, one of the most important ones in Brazil, said, how long can Paqueta play for Brazil? He was that stark about it. So he's not playing well anywhere, right? The Bournemouth booking was suspicious, yes, for sure. If you look at it from a video-only perspective, of course it does. If you're told the narrative, look at that, and then you see it without knowing what the player does week in, week out, and he was getting booked a lot, and he still gets booked a lot, I think, you might be inclined to say, yeah, that looks a bit fishy. Didn't really look fishy. If you take it out of it, it just looked like normal behaviour from Paqueta. The Bournemouth one, though, was underneath the nose of the referee, and it was shortly after a previous challenge as well.
Yeah.
Right, where he could have been booked. So, yes, I can see why you say it did. Don't forget, Paqueta has to see the Brazil FA 30th of October for the latest hearing. They ain't going to find him guilty over there, Randy. I think they've already found him not guilty.
Gary, here's the thing, right? With Paqueta, we talk about how everything that's going on is impacting him, right? Impacting his performance, impacting his personal life, and it's understandable. Okay, this is what we're all saying. However, if you're Paqueta and you know that you are absolutely not guilty, okay, then why should it affect you as much as it appears to be affecting him on the pitch right now, where he's 50% of the player that we know he is? Because if you know you're not guilty, you would like to think that the legal system will find you not guilty, right? So really, does he really have anything to worry about that much for him to warrant putting in shitty performances pretty much on a regular basis?
No, but that this is, this doesn't rely on conclusive evidence. It's on the balance of probability. You could actually be done because someone thinks, based on what they've seen, it's very likely. Yeah.
there's got to be solid evidence on that, Gal. Though that's the thing.
No, there hasn't got to be solid evidence.
If I know that I'm getting, if I know that
hasn't.
I'm absolutely not guilty, then surely there's got to be something tangible there that says, right, that shows you are 100% guilty.
Well, you would hope so. You would hope so, but I did that show with John a while ago, and apparently not. It doesn't have to be conclusive black and white evidence. It really doesn't. Okay, it has to be on the balance of probabilities, right?
Yeah, that's fair enough then.
So Colin says it's very sad what's happening. We're going to lose 2 superstars. Would not be surprised if we lose more players. Money talks. We'll have to replace them. How will that not happen? No Europe. Well, look, yeah, I agree, but at the same time, if we're not getting superstars who are operating like superstars, I would argue Kudus always delivers a 7 out of 10. Apart from one game, he always delivers a 7 out of 10. So he's worth his weight in gold, the guy, right? Now he's scored a goal. He's likely to score more as well. We know that. Paqueta, some of these games have been appalling. You're not getting a superstar performance anywhere near out of Paqueta, right? Alvarez, got himself sent off against Liverpool. He ain't looking like a superstar either, to be honest. I want players to be at West Ham who want to be at West Ham. If they want to leave, fuck them off, as far as I'm concerned. I don't care. I'm not desperate for any of them to stay because they're all good players with big price tags and big reputations, and we'll get a certain amount of money for them, which means it can be reinvested, right? Look at the quality we've bought in. All right, not up front, bear with me, but look at the quality we've bought in at the back. Just look at Todibo, look at Kilman, you will appreciate him in a few weeks. Look at Soler, right? There's so much we've bought. Look at exciting talents like Somerville, right? We can, with the right budget, make a fucking good squad and hopefully one that fits this manager or whoever's a manager at the time, right? Because something quite apt was said the other day, and I've never thought about it like this, but perhaps I should, and that is around what a director of football usually does. The director of football goes to a club and implements his system, his way of playing on the coach. He buys players to fit that system. And so it really shouldn't matter about lengthy agreements and negotiations with a manager because you're buying players to fit a certain system that the director of football has laid down. Now, I don't think we're at that stage at all, right? I think we're buying players who are adaptable, who can play in multiple systems. But I don't think if we're thinking Leverkusen, I don't think the players that we're buying are players that would go, that could play in a Leverkusen team, right? But they are adaptable and they're very good and they can play in multiple systems. But I think that if we carry on buying adaptable players, then it means that if it did all go tits up with Lopetegui, we could, in theory, swap him out, swap another one in, and the players would be usable. The squad would be usable. And I think if you look at that squad at the moment, you wouldn't have too many decent young managers turn that squad down if you had a striker to it.
Yeah. No, we've got a great squad, even without a couple of those star players. And again, if they are to leave, then we will reinvest it and bring in some other players. So I'd agree with you. I still think we're an incredibly attractive proposition, right? But ultimately, let's focus on Lopetegui and not other young coaches coming in for the time being anyway.
Well, you know what, Chris? I think we're a lot more attractive proposition now than we were when Moisey left, because he left a team in disarray, an old aging team, and we've signed some bloody good players there, right? Yeah. So, Pep will coach it out of him, or he'd beat it out of him. That's for sure, right? Because Pep don't take not following instructions very well, does he? Have you seen him? Gets very angry very quickly.
Lopetegui.
No, Pep. I'm talking about
Pep. Pep. Yeah. Oh, sorry. He does.
He's very annoyed very quickly. It isn't just Pac hasn't been put in a shift over the last year or so. No. I mean, there are several. By the way, talking about a shift, Mavropanos for England.
Unreal, mate. Unreal. Watch that game. Can't believe I watched it all, but he was absolutely exceptional. Best I've seen him play. For those of you that missed the beginning of the show, in a minute, we're going to talk about a vulnerability that exists at West Ham that's been there since game one, and it's still there now. It's still there against Ipswich, right? And I'm going to try and explain it in my best ham-fisted way, but it's worrying, right? We're going to come to it in a second, and that's when we'll talk about Lopetegui and his tactics. Because I think we've all been very positive, rightfully so. We beat a team 4-1, right? It's what we all needed. But let's just pick one part of it apart a little bit and have a closer look, yeah?
So that's what we're going to do in a minute with my sparse tactics board. If the FA find Paqueta guilty, probably it would be actually make him guilty. A civil court could find him not guilty. Yeah, exactly right. You know, the level of evidence is much lower, right? Balance of probabilities versus what you'd need in a proper court to find someone guilty. Yeah, absolutely. Right.
There's a couple of comments on there as well, Gal. There's a couple of comments there around saying, I think someone's put this one up here. If he is innocent, he does have an excuse for his film. Look, okay. So looking back on my comment that I made, I suppose I'm not looking, I'm not looking at it from that kind of perspective as such in terms of going out in front of 60,000 fans every week. I'm just thinking it from my point of view of if I know that I'm innocent, if I know I'm innocent, then why should I let it impact me that much? But I get that. It's a fair point. I mean, it's a very fair point. And there's a lot of variables there that are outside of his control. So I get it. So it's a fair point,
Yeah. And sorry, it does change sign colour. Look, clearly there's sign. It's all over the place. Like you can do red, you can do all the colours work now. It's wonderful.
Don't play around with it too much, Gal. It's going to break. No, seriously, don't do it again.
We'll just break again. I shouldn't do that. Really. Yes. So in answer to your question, Mark, yes, it does. Right. Okay. If the FA get wrong, West Ham will be upset with the FA. Yeah, but they won't. Yeah, they won't come into it. Right. They've launched this based on the regulations, the rules and regulations. A betting company said that. Our betting company, our bloody sponsor, pressed the red panic button saying there've been irregular betting patterns, and the FA had to investigate, obliged to. So they haven't actually done anything wrong. But what they seem to be doing at the moment, and I hope they're not, is kind of pulling together a load of charges as a kind of fallback position. So if they can't prosecute, if they've got no evidence at all, for instance, to link him to this supposed crime, then at least they're going to be able to prosecute him definitely for not handing back his phone. Yeah. Because that's not even subjective, is it?
Yeah.
Right. So let's have a look. Any chance to get John Lucchese on? He's on a big case at the moment. So no, last thing on his mind, be Paqueta. And no, I heard it. It was a phone he got to use because the FA. I can't make any. I can't make any sense. So what you saying there? Dave? No, I heard it was the phone he got to use because the FA had his phone. Oh, right, I get it. Okay, sorry. I must get new glasses. The FA aren't a court, effectively a tribunal. Yeah, it is a tribunal. That's exactly what it is. Yeah. And it's a 3-judge. I think three lawyers, whatever it is, are being appointed to make the decision. I think we need to remember, football or not, he's a human and he's got to be playing his mind. Yeah. Look, can you imagine if he is not guilty, what this is doing to him?
Yeah. No, it's a fair point. I've seen a couple of comments up here. Someone's put down that he's under extreme, pressure, irrespective of whether he knows that he may be innocent. Yeah, I get it. Look, I get it. I'm backtracking on what I've said. I'm just trying to look at it from a different angle here. Okay, I totally understand that everyone deals with pressure in different ways. I get that.
Yeah, that's why I'm a little bit reticent to go guns blazing. Right.
Yeah.
If he's found guilty and the evidence is clear, I'll have no sympathy. Right. But for the moment, and I've said this from the start, let's just hope. Paqueta directly translates as package, a colloquial term used to describe someone who is stylish, fashionable, and trendy. It's commonly used to refer to someone who is sophisticated. Excellent, thank you. Words and phrases. That's meaningful. Right. Sorry, autocorrect being you.
Is right. Words and phrases a real person, or is it like a
I don't know. AI? I think it's an AI. Yeah. No, it was a phone he got to use because they had his phone. Right. Okay. Yeah, I got it. Okay, Daniela. So, okay. I just didn't know that. That's all. I thought it was the original phone that he had handed to him. So that's different then, isn't it? So they're saying...
I thought that was the situation, but...
So they're saying that from the point he got charged, basically anything in his life that he even obtains from then on, he's got to hand to them if they ask for it. Strange. Paqueta is a wonderfully talented player, but he's a bespoke profile. Yeah, he is. There's still debates whether he can play an 8 or a 10. Yeah, I know. And that is not settled that he can play as a number 10. It's still a deep line midfielder seems to be his ideal position. yeah, if he's not guilty, he shouldn't let it worry him. Yeah, it's easily said though, Lawrence. I mean, it depends what kind of psychology he's got. If he's very, very strong-minded, don't give a fuck, I'm not guilty, I'm going to play regardless, I'll teach you. Or if he's in the situation where he's been advised by his lawyers, whether he's guilty or not, that he's likely to get a ban, then that's going to depress the fuck out of him because he clearly loves playing football, right?
Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah, I get it.
Apparently, Paqueta is being called back by the Brazil FA. I'm not sure why, but I don't know if it's because they've not got something. Well, they last time they said nothing to investigate, didn't they, Randy? I think they did. Moyes wanted Paqueta because he's one of the only midfielders who gave Deck the runaround when we played Lyon. Yeah. Well, look, we know at his best. He is world class. But I always think about it like this: a player. The reason a player plays for Man City is because they deliver their best performances 80 or 90% of the time. The reason an equivalent standard player, as in same level of quality, if you like, the reason they play for West Ham is they deliver 50 or 60% of the time. It's a very different metric, a very different output, right? Might be the same quality when they're both playing well, but our ones don't do it all the time. Yeah,
it's true. That's what makes a difference, right?
Yeah. Right, just a few more things on him. If we're surprised to lose Kudus, Paqueta, and Alvarez, yeah, but I don't think losing Alvarez is replaceable now. I thought he was irreplaceable. He's not. He's replaceable. Paqueta, he's definitely replaceable at the moment. The one I worry about is Kudus, but we need to replace him with someone. He's lost all his love for it. Well, I think he has. It is sad to see. But what can you do? If he's innocent, he does have an excuse for his form. Yes, he does. If he's innocent, he does. Absolutely. Right. Okay. Let's go to the bottom because I'm well behind on these comments, like I always am. Right.
Just last one here. I want to stick this one up, Gary.
Go on.
So Jay Watson's put down, if guilty, I really don't think he's realised how serious a matter it was. I mean, Trippier had a WhatsApp group telling his mates to lump on that he was going to Atletico Madrid. That's totally different, right? I mean, of course, he shouldn't be doing that, but ultimately, that's not impacting how a potential game is going to go, right? If Paqueta gets a yellow card and he gets another one straight after that, then we're screwed. Do you know what I mean? This is a very, very different situation.
That's right. You look back at the games where he allegedly tried to get booked. Had he got booked, then he might have got sent off in one or two of those. Actually got sent off because he was on the second yellow. That's the first thing. That's direct impact on that game. If he gets sent off or the number of points go up because he's got another yellow card, a ban occurs at some point, whether it's immediately after the game or a few games later. And that impacts games further in the season as well. So you could play out these disaster scenarios of what would have happened had he got booked in either of those games and or sent off, and the effect it could have had on West Ham and on the games there and then. To me, if you do something like that, you're putting personal gain. And there's no way you should be in this for personal gain or family gain, right? It should not be. He earns enough money. The guy's a very rich man. He earns enough money to be to not be doing this stuff. Even if he's helping out his family, he should fucking help out his family out of his own pocket, right? There's no way, there's no excuse for any football player to be affecting the outcome of a game, potentially the whole bloody season, right? Because it could have done. There was a time last season where he was irreplaceable for us. Think about the time before he got injured up until Christmas, right? He was outstanding. Some of them goals up, maybe he wouldn't have played in half of those games.
Just seems so long ago, Gal. Seems so long ago we had that player, though, doesn't it? And I think every single week we just live in hope that he's going to turn up and put in a performance. And even still now, right? So, we'll no doubt talk about the Tottenham game at some point. I don't know whether today or next week or whatever. But I'll still have Paqueta in that lineup. I will still have him in there because I still know that he's got that, innate ability just to turn a game on its head. And that's the thing. So we all live in the hope and pray that he's going to do that. But how long can we feel that way if I'm not saying he's been disastrous. He's just not at the level. But does he deserve to play at the moment? I mean, that's the thing. Or should we give him a break just so we can, as most of the people in the chat have said, if it's really impacting his performances, irrespective of whether he knows he's guilty or whether he knows he's not guilty, then should we really be playing him? Particularly even if he knows he's innocent, it's still impacting his performances. So should we not be looking at an alternative?
We should be, but I think Soler is the alternative at the moment. And we honestly have not seen the best of Soler yet. He's not going to be an artist like Paqueta, but he is an attacking. He was an attacking right winger who's played all over the pitch and turned himself into a central midfielder. He is a good player that we ain't seen the best of yet. We've seen a much improved Soler, but I was sure at the time that he was brought in to succeed him. I think people have not. He's really slipped under the radar, Soler, but his stats when he's come on the pitch have been fantastic.
Do you think Paqueta's going to be here past January, Gal?
If I was to put money on it, I'd say no. I'd say I'd let him go.
So.
I think West Ham would want the problem to go away, but I also think it depends on what West Ham know about this, and I don't know what they know. Right? They might know that they might know enough that makes them see cutting the losses is the best the best way out. My concern is money. We spend big in the summer. I think we need 3. McCann Monster is here. Look here. Pink Monster tonight. Where's your Monster, Chris? You got a can of Monster?
Mate, I'm in the Monster Club now. I am.
We're
full fat as well.
Sponsored by Monster. Right. Yeah, I do trust Tim as well, Damien. I think he's done largely a good job. I think everybody was questioning. It's funny that, wasn't it, with Guilherme, where everybody was saying he's wasted a load of money on Guilherme. Guilherme suddenly, when the heat's off, which is kind of good management, really, he brings the youngster on and lets him run at Ipswich for 10 minutes, won a free kick, could have scored a goal or 2 in only 10 minutes, pace to burn, and suddenly people are being a little bit more positive about him. That's all it takes sometimes, and I suspect that'll be the same about if we ever see him play. It'll be the same about the striker as well. Strange the Bournemouth game with a dodgy card. He actually asked not to play. Yeah, he did. He was trying to get binned. Why ask not to play? Yeah. Because Man City were coming in for him. Exactly. Yeah. What Chris said. Exactly. So look, I don't look at him. Last season when he done those things, like when he was laughing at Spurs, and it was like the most beautiful experience watching Paqueta play for West Ham. He was the bastard that everyone hated, and he was also the most talented player as well. Just made us laugh. So much entertainment. That Paqueta is a long time ago now, right? There is no excuse. If guilty, I don't have any mercy. I've got to be honest. He can go away. But I've got to believe he isn't. Right. Right. Soler is insurance. Yes, Jay, he is insurance. Kudus will replace him at number 10. Somerville will go on the left. Possibly, yeah. Yeah, that could be the plan. And Guilherme to be back up. That could definitely be the plan. I definitely think there is a plan there. And I think we don't know the full story.
Of course we don't. We definitely don't know the full story. Yeah.
Is this the longest the side has stayed working? By a long, long way, Steve. A long way, right? It's really pissing me off, let me tell you. But Planet Neon, thank God, sorted their shit out.
Change the colour again, Gal. Go on, change the colour again.
Oh, look, got me little remote.
Go on, play around with it a little bit. Let's see how long it lasts.
What you want me to break it? Let it go pink. Let it go pink. And go yellow. Well, sort of yellow, white, blue. You know what didn't work, right? Was the blue, right? That was the thing. Got to turn it up a bit to see dark blue.
Yeah, it looks a bit white, doesn't it? Like,
hold on a minute. Oh, that's blue. No, that's blue.
I saw a
that's
comment.
Blue. That's blue. It don't, even though it don't look it. It's the way. Look, see, it's blue.
That's blue. That's green. That is. I saw a comment there earlier on.
Naked eye, it's blue.
Yeah, I saw a comment there earlier on. Someone said, "I'm still not convinced that you're not going to get electrocuted."
Oh no, I'm not going to get electrocuted. I'm very careful with these things. Claire, how dare you? Something that's not coming off the wall. I tell you,
it would be comedy gold. It would be comedy gold if that came off, mate. It would be very funny.
It's impossible for that to come off. No bodger, no sparks. It's absolutely perfect. Absolutely perfect. Right. Okay. So we're going to talk about now, and I'm going to try to explain to you lot. I hope you understand. It's going to be funny. All right. I'm going to use a sparsely populated tactics board to try and demonstrate this weakness that West Ham have got. And we've had it since game 1 under Loppy'S. Some of you who are more students of the beautiful game than I am might know this already, but I didn't. And I try to keep an open mind with all these things. So always support the team, always do, cheer the boys on. We beat Ipswich 4-1. Yeah. And then I kind of listen to people who overanalyze the game, or perhaps maybe analyze the game just enough objectively. So they're kind of looking at, let's share. Hang on. This is probably what went wrong last time when I tried to share it, because I had it shared at the time, didn't I? Do you remember? Share screen, window. Right, tactics board. Are you prepared? Are you prepared? Stand by your beds. Right. Okay. So all the zeros, all the claret zeros are West Ham players. This is us doing our press. Antonio pressing the keeper and the two centre halves, Paqueta and Souček swapping positions, Bowen over here, Kudus over here, flitting between the centre half and the fullback, taking it in turns, right? Now, this happened against, Chris and I were talking about this earlier. This happened not only against Ipswich, who did not hurt us, right? They did not hurt us. But City hurt us, Villa hurt us, Chelsea hurt us with this, right? So here we go. This is what happens. The keeper gets maybe. Oh no, wrong one. It's down here, Gary. Sort yourself out. The keeper maybe finds himself with a second or a fraction of a second until Antonio shuts him down. During that time, you see Bowen is in marking more the centre half than the fullback. This releases the fullback up the line. The keeper, who now has the ball, can then just ping it over the top of Bowen. Right? He can ping it over the top of Bowen. But hang on, there's something in the way here. It's called Aaron Wan-Bissaka. But no, this midfielder goes inside, Wan-Bissaka or Soufal or whoever follows him because we're doing this man-to-man thing. So this man has the freedom of the left-hand side. There's bloody no one near him. That happened over and over against Ipswich, right? Over and over. That Leaf Davis got free down the left-hand side. It's just they weren't very good. And we had to Debo. And so he was coming out and stopping a lot of those attacks. But this big void down the left-hand side, it was fully exposed against Villa and Chelsea especially, and City. And it only has to happen once or twice where these perfect set of conditions happen. Only has to happen once or twice in a game. And then you're stuffed, right? Against a good side, you give them a chance, they're going to score.
Yeah.
So that is the vulnerability that if we don't put it right, against Spurs, we could have the very useless Timo Werner suddenly finding himself in bagfuls of space down the left-hand side. Imagine if Timo Werner came good against West Ham. That's like the stuff of nightmares.
Yeah, but it's typical West Ham for that to happen. And, the thing is with Timo Werner is one thing that he may lack in terms of his finishing prowess is that he's got absolute pace to burn. Like, that guy is fast. So, again, that could be very problematic for us. The thing is, you're right. I mean, with regards to that kind of scenario, it happens quite a lot. Put it back up, Gal, again, actually. I just want to look at that. Right? But it's not just... So you're talking about Aaron Wan-Bissaka tucking inside and going into the centre.
He follows basically the winger goes inside and he follows him, right?
It does. But also, it's not just that. So that happens quite frequently. And I've seen that firsthand because quite regularly we look on the pitch. What's Aaron Wan-Bissaka playing central midfield for? And sometimes he's almost playing as a centre forward. He's so far forward as well. There's that massive gaping hole down our right-hand side or their left-hand side. But quite frequently, Aaron Wan-Bissaka won't necessarily just be there, but he'll be right up there in the final thirds. So this is something we've called out a lot this season, is in the fullback areas. That is where there are huge gaping holes pretty much every single game we played this season. I can't think of a game where we haven't really had a problem in the fullback areas. It typically is at right back, but it has also been at left back as well. And I think, if you look at the games we've played, to your point, that Leaf Davis, 100%, he had a very good game against us, but again, maybe didn't exploit us as much as he probably could have done. But then if you look at the other games, Gal, right? Liverpool, Gakpo, Jota, they were on the left-hand side for times and they were exploiting that space. You got Jadon Sancho when we were playing Chelsea. That was his best game. That was his best game for God knows how many years playing Chelsea on the left-hand side.
Yeah.
He also causes problems. I called that before that game. I said to you, he's going to cause us problems if he comes on. He did.
Yeah.
Emil Smith-Rowe, same thing again. He was in acres of space, gets to the byline, pings it across, and Jimenez scores a goal. Rico Lewis, again, left back, bombing forwards. Luca Digne, same thing, bombing forward. Always down that right-hand side, which is amazing because we've got Aaron Wan-Bissaka there. So to your point, when you look at that issue that we've got right now, tactically, because we are always very, very open in those fullback areas, I just pray to God that Lopetegui understands this. And when we play Spurs, he decides to go with a flat back four as opposed to these advancing fullbacks that he does week in, week out. And also so they don't become like with Wan-Bissaka, come inverted and pulling inside into the central midfield slots, because it does cause us so many problems. And I can just see that Timo Werner, and that scares me because the guy couldn't hit a barn door, but you can guarantee he'll flip and hit that barn door when he's playing against us if he gets the space and time. And if he doesn't, he's going to be in a prime position to set up someone else, whether that's Solanke or whoever. And I think the same goes with Brennan Johnson on the right hand side. He's on red, in red hot form right now.
It don't seem to happen so much down that side. Emerson is more, he clutches the touchline more. But look, let's not. I don't want to get panicky. I just want to say that if there's one good part of Spurs' game, it's going forward. Right? We know they're there for the taking at the back. And I think we'll probably win that game 7-6. Right there, I said it, Claire. Are we playing Bournemouth? No, Bodger, we're not. But do you think, I got this ready in 2 minutes earlier. It shows, doesn't it? Right. Right, okay. Let me take that down.
It's AC Milan, actually. It's AC Milan, Bodger. It's not Bournemouth we're playing there.
Yeah. So let's stop the screen share so they don't go wrong again. If only. Right, can't see how people suddenly lost faith in Areola. I think, he's made a couple of mistakes. I think all keepers are entitled to make mistakes. He's also made some marvellous saves as well. I haven't lost faith in him yet, but, letting that goal in, that was a killer, or it could have been a killer. We could have let it be a killer, but we didn't, thank God, against Ipswich. But letting a team back in it that quickly, it can't happen, can it? You're saying we need a goal. I never rated Areola. Flappy Bird in our house from day one. Yeah. A very erudite. I can't do any more of that. Although, no, it's from Frog in the Wall, actually. It's a response to Words and Pictures. A very erudite position to posit in an otherwise diaphanous landscape.
We've got 2 bots in the chat, mate.
We do. Yeah, we do. We do. Right. I will still persist with him, Damien, but not replace. Look, keepers are both. I mean, Fabianski's getting old, but really we should have replaced him. I think. Yeah. I don't think that I like a keeper to come and get a ball. I really do, and I hate the fucking crazy punching. I can't stand it. But Spurs won't do the ball.
Mate. We've got Fotheringham. You're forgetting about him, mate.
He actually looks all right in training, don't he? Now, Spurs won't do the ball over the top. They play out from the back. Yeah, no, that is likely very true. I hope. Fucking hell, please don't let it happen. Right, but nonetheless, even if they don't do the ball over the top, if they can get the ball out to that wing quickly, and that left back is charging down the wing when and Bowen can't get near him, and Wan-Bissaka's gone inside, that is a massive hole, right? It's only something that's going to happen a couple of times a game, and we do have Todibo now, who was known in his old club as being a counter-attack stopper, right? He was the one who would literally single-handedly, because his old team used to push up the pitch relentlessly. Sometimes it'd be be defending on his own, right? And he'd be the one. He's got the pace, he's got the composure, he's got the positioning sense above all else. You'd see in that last game that he found himself out wide quite a lot, didn't he? Because he predicted stuff. He's actually very good at doing that.
Which is fair enough, though, Gail. But if he's doing that and he's essentially covering into that right back slot, then he's leaving himself exposed in the centre, right? Yeah. That's the thing. So I still think I just want to see us play a flat back form. I've been saying for so bloody long now. That's what I want.
But this is why, you remember against Fulham in the first half, we saw that Wan-Bissaka was nowhere near the guy on the left. Do you remember? He was like out there, and he kept getting on the ball with Wan-Bissaka nowhere near him. Well, that's what was happening, right? It's literally every game we've been caught out with this. I don't know whether it's a tactic or a player's fault, but it must be a tactic because it happened with Soufal and with Wan-Bissaka. Right. I know that Lopetegui's system preference is to block out the central areas and force people down the wing, but that ain't helping as much, is it?
No, it's not, because pretty much every goal, not every, but predominantly most of the goals we've conceded this season have been from the right-hand side, from our right-hand side, our opponent's left-hand side. It's always coming down that area. And I think any team that's got half a brain cell will target that, as an area that they want to exploit. And I'm sure Postecoglou will be doing the same thing when we play them next weekend, no doubts.
Yeah. So that's, I mean, let us know in the chat what you think of that. Have any of you noticed this vulnerability? If you have, you're better than me. I noticed a kind of, I knew we were a little bit weak down there occasionally, and I attributed it to, like you, Chris, Wan-Bissaka pushing up the pitch. I didn't really attribute it to him being following a man inside. Yeah. But when you look at the photos, because I've seen photos of this, that's exactly what happens.
Yeah, no, I didn't notice. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like I said earlier, I've noticed that he has been in central positions quite frequently. I was like, what the hell is he doing there?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I know you got this data, didn't you? And it was properly analysed as well. So it's interesting. I think it's certainly an area that we just need to be very mindful of.
Yeah.
Because it worries me.
And look, Spurs are there for the taking. Of course they are. Bloody hell.
God,
Defensively,
yeah.
they showed in the last game that defensively it's still the same as it was, right? They're very impressive going forward, not very impressive at the back. I don't know what's going to happen in that game, but I did jokingly say, but I meant it really. The other day, we're going to win 7-6.
There's going to be goals in it, mate. Whatever way you look at it, 100% there will be a lot of goals in this one. I certainly don't see it being 7-6, but I reckon it wouldn't surprise me if, I don't know, like a 4-3 or a 4-2, or it would not surprise me the slightest.
But don't forget, this is an important thing from around here. Tadibo and Kilman, they have a good partnership, solid centre-back pairing. That is the last line of defence in this system, right? It is. So it's not a conventional system, but at the same time, you can't leave a gaping hole down the side there. You just can't.
No, you can't. Because if he pulls over, then Kilman's left exposed on his own in the middle, right? It doesn't work. Unless you've got that, situation we had the other week with Alvarez splitting the two centre halves and dropping back. But again, I don't know.
Well, that was weird, wasn't it? Because he got it so wrong, and in the last game, Rodriguez got it so right. But then you can't play Rodriguez in that role against a team that's mobile.
You get away with it against Ipswich, against the bigger teams, more pace in the middle. You're not going to get away with that.
So Spurs are a dangerous side. They'll also be worried about us because we've got, we do tend to get results over them, don't they? But they like us, very inconsistent. Yeah. They're not as good as they think they are. Would I prove that in the last game? Absolutely.
I think we might have
Frog in the wall. I'm not a bot. Been a loyal hammer for over a century. Yeah, you're not a bot, Frog. No. Right. So that is what else we got to discuss. Anything?
No, I don't think so.
I know I mentioned it earlier, but it's worth one more mention. Just how, because I don't watch England and I didn't watch the England game. Right. I didn't want it. I don't watch it. I can't take it, especially because bloody Bowen was dropped. I don't know what that tit of a manager was doing there by dropping him, but that's what happens when you drop Jarrod. Don't do you any good, mate. What's his name? Caldwell or something.
Lee Carsley.
Fucking
no, he's a dead man walking since he dropped Bowen from the squad. That's my
opinion.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Congratulations. Have we ever lost at home to Greece before? Probably not.
Mate, I'll tell you what, Greece. Look, I want England to do well. I couldn't give a toss about the Nations League, whatever it's called, right? But they absolutely deserved that game. They did. And they should have won it by probably 3-4. At least. They had a few goals disallowed for offside. Mavropanos scored one, which was clearly offside, but he was exceptional. He was so good. So good. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's amazing, really, because all of the England fans are calling out for you to play the likes of what's his face, Gordon on the left and Bowen. It just didn't work, mate. Didn't work. Playing. I think
you know what? I said this to Nigel on that show I was on the other week about. I think Bowen's better than Saka. Nigel said, "I don't know about that." Well, I think he is, right? I think he is because Bowen does what he does. Playing for West Ham. He scored 20 goals playing for West Ham. Can you imagine how many goals he'd scored playing for a side like Arsenal that spend 80% of their time up the pitch? That's what Saka does. That doesn't mean he's brilliant. You put Saka in our team, he's getting 5 goals a season, I tell you. Right? He is.
Yeah. I've had this debate many times and we've had this conversation as well. So for me, don't get me wrong, Saka's a very good player, but I think he's incredibly weak and light. He spends more time on the floor than he does on his feet constantly. But it's not just that. I also believe that Bowen is a lot more. He's a better finisher. He's more clinical for me than Saka is as well.
He is.
I genuinely, and I'm not just saying this because I do have a bit of a dislike for Arsenal. I don't get the hype around Saka. I just don't.
I don't either. I don't either. And I know, people were digging him out. And it was questionable whether they should have been digging him out, for various reasons in the tournament before last. But, I just don't. I see the frustration with him because, to be honest, what does he do? When do you see him really, really open up against all odds, open up a defence? I mean, he does something that, how can I say? He runs onto a ball, great timing. He runs onto a ball, he'll cross it. When do you see him get the ball down and actually go past a player when you don't expect him to and cut it back? I don't see him do it. You see Jared do that stuff all the time, right?
Well, here's the thing, right? And I know they're different nationalities, but we messaged each other about this the other day. But could you imagine if you're going to compare right wingers? Imagine comparing Kudus to Saka. But this is the thing, most people objectively, like people that maybe support other clubs or even support Arsenal, will say, "Oh, Saka's better." He's definitely not. Kudus is a million times better than he is. And
Yes.
could you imagine the amount of damage? Not that I want this to happen, of course, but imagine what Kudus would do at Arsenal as opposed to what Saka does at Arsenal. And I do not want that to happen, by the way, just to clarify. But he's a million times a better player.
When Kudus moves, just don't let him go to fucking Arsenal. Please, don't let him go to fucking Arsenal.
Yeah, that would be horrific. I'm
not as kind of loyal as I was loyal to Declan Rice, but there's no loyalty there where Kudus is concerned. So if he does that, especially after going to watch him while being a West Ham player, wouldn't want to be in your shoes, Kudus.
Go to Barca. If he goes to Barca, I'm fine with that. I'll be gutted.
I can cheer him on from a distance. I hope we do well in the Spanish league. Yeah. Saka's goals and assists are ridiculous every season. He plays for Arsenal, Damien. Arsenal, where they spend 80% of their time up the pitch against inferior opposition, surrounded by world-class players. Imagine putting Bowen in that team. Would he not get loads of goals and assists? Bowen got 20 playing for West Ham in a shit season.
Yeah. And he
I don't think there's even an argument to be had here or a conversation to be had. It's objectively clear that Bowen's a better player by a fucking mile, you know? Right. I'm just biased. And he's part of West Ham royalty. Bowen Mavropanos can shine in a good system. Yeah. The thing is, right, I don't know. You know, Premier League and international football are two very different things. One's very much slower paced than the other, right? He gets exposed in the Premier League. There make no bones about that. When he played at right back the other week, I thought he was fantastic. But he's not Todibo.
I think the game that he played against England the other day, the way that game went, I mean, that suited his style of play completely. You know, it was quite a physical battle he had there, and he was winning it. You know, he's a beast of a guy, isn't he? So.
Saka is fantastic. I think he's good. I'd say he's good, right? I wouldn't say he's fantastic. Fantastic's an overused word. But Bowen got the same amount of goals last season as Saka, with 18. He's more assists. Yes, exactly. You're proving me the point, but you're also saying fantastic. He's good.
Also, one other thing to point out about Saka versus Bowen, Gal, is that if you're thinking about, when you're under the cosh, you're under pressure, and their left wingers and their left backs are overlapping and coming at us on our right hand side, you know damn well that Bowen will work his bollocks off to get back and help out defensively. And he'd be so much more effective when, not that we want him to be defending, but he would do that so much better. And he does do that better than Saka. Saka's weak as shit. You know, he's not someone that gets back and helps out the fullbacks as much as someone like Bowen does. Now, I'm not saying I obviously I want to see Bowen in the final thirds of the pitch more, but Bowen for me has a better engine on him. He's got a better work rate on him. He's more physical, and he does get back and he helps out the team more, in my opinion, right?
He does.
But again, maybe I'm biased. I don't know. I think Saka's a very good player, but I just think he's overhyped. That's my opinion.
I think you are biased, but so am I. But I think we're being fair in our assessments here. I don't dislike Saka as a bloke or anything. I just think he's not as good as Bowen. I'm just saying it, and that's what Damien's saying here. He says it all the time. Now, Kudus, look, he can't go to Arsenal, but if he did, Saka would never play another game. Let's be honest.
No, he'd be shoved out on the left hand side.
It'd be offered to West Ham in Part X.
No, I don't like saying how good he is.
I don't like the Saka shit stuff, right? I don't like it. Right, don't say that. Hope Kudus goes to a top team that wins things, not Arsenal.
Yeah.
How many non-pens did Saka score? Yeah, exactly. Arsenal would have to sell Saka if we can Kudus. Yeah. Only thing is Saka always has two players where Bowen thinks has the better work rate. Yeah. Well, look, Bowen can create something out of nothing, as he's even shown for England a few times by nearly scoring in one of the few minutes that he's been given by either Southgate or this geezer, right? Nobody's shown faith in him for England, and had they shown faith in him, they might have seen the real Gerald Bowen. But they haven't. They've refused to show faith in him. And so that's why, whatever his name is, he's going to get sacked. And maybe the next England manager will come in and see the wood for the trees and realise that to win something as England manager, you need 3 West Ham players in that team. It's a proven fact, right? You cannot deny it. We've only ever won with 3 West Ham players in the team.
Mm-hmm.
Prove me wrong.
Say it all the time. We won the World Cup.
No, we did, but it is literally, you know, look, do that, you're onto a winner, right? You're onto a winner. So I think we're done, haven't we?
I think so. Yeah. Don't really want to talk about Kudus going to Arsenal anymore.
No.
Should have really brought that one up, but yeah.
I think what Hussein Kadri says here, based on pure footballing abilities, there's far better in the league than Saka. He's not even. I won't even call him a tricky winger. I'd call him a straightforward, conventional winger with a bit of pace, who times his runs well, and he's playing alongside some great players and some great finishers. What's not to like? I mean, it's like Antonio said the other day, and this is true, right? You put Antonio in the Liverpool team, he'll score 20 goals in a season because he can have fucking 10 chances every game, right? Not that Arsenal would put him in their team. Sorry, Liverpool would put him in their team. But it's true, though, isn't it? The more chances you get, the more you're likely to score.
Yeah, of course you will. Yeah. He'll probably hit Rose Ed a few times as well, but no, he'll definitely score more goals.
He hit Rose Ed more than he hit the goal, right? But if he gets 10 chances in a game, he's going to score 1 or 2 of them, isn't he?
Yeah, of course he would.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's obvious. I mean, it's the same as if you stick him in the City team, right? I mean, he's going to score goals, isn't he?
But I think he did benefit from the Moyes counter-attacking play, but I think last game against Ipswich was his best game for us this season as well. So I think he's coming on. One thing he's done is he's applied himself to try and learn this new system, probably more than anybody in the team, and it paid dividends. And now he's got a couple of weeks off having a rest. Bowen's only played well in 2 games this season.
He's gone away with Jamaica again, though, hasn't he? Antonio?
No, I'm talking about Bowen. He has. But I think the only one that's going to be playing this week, from what I saw earlier, you can tell me whether it's right in the chat or not. I think this week the only ones that are playing are, Monday to Friday. The only one that's playing is Alvarez in the Mexico team, if I'm not wrong.
You've got Alvarez, Souček, Soufal. What's his face? Irving was called up, only by Scotland. I don't know if he's played. I haven't checked that out. He was called up to the national squad.
Name the one only West Ham player who would make your FPL side.
Was that your fantasy Premier League team? Yeah,
only one West Ham player who would make your fantasy league side. Well, I think that's a tough one.
It's an easy one for me.
I'll tell you what.
Do you play it though, Gal? You don't do
I don't do it now.
So I'll tell you who goes into my team every single time, and he's in my team now. It's Jared Bowen, because they've got him classified as a midfielder, and he's got the ability to score goals, so he'll give you more points. So for me, it's either going to be Bowen or Kudus in the fantasy team if I'm going to play a West Ham player.
I think it's easy to laugh at that, Chris, and say Antonio won't score 20 goals for Liverpool. I'm sure he's not looking at himself now and saying that. But if you take Antonio last couple of seasons and Antonio over the course of time, right, there have been times where when he was at his peak, if you'd have put him in the Liverpool team, he definitely would have scored over 20 goals in a season. Bear in mind, he's getting 10 chances every game, right? He would have. But again, we'll never know. It's hypothetical. We'll never know the truth. Sorry, say that again, Chris.
Can't remember what I was saying now, mate. I think we're talking about fantasy football players, weren't we?
Yeah.
Bowen and Kudus, mate, for me. I've got, you know what, stupidly, I've got both of them in my team at the moment, but it came good for me against Ipswich the other day. Yeah. Aside from that, I've not really got many points from them two this season.
Yeah, he will. Mickey would miss more sitters. Yeah, he would. He'd miss about 8 sitters a game or 9.
Yeah, but would he miss as many sitters as Darwin Núñez does for Liverpool? That's the thing. This guy misses from 2 yards out.
Yeah. Second Golden will pour for England. Yeah, I know. Gordon, you mean? Yeah. Antonio said he'd get 30 for City. Oh, he's fucking getting carried away now, isn't he?
I think he said that in a podcast, didn't he? When he was doing that thing with Callum Wilson.
He's getting high on his own hype now, isn't he? Absolutely. Bowen goes under the radar. I think he's in Arsenal system. He scores more. Yeah, absolutely. We all know Bowen is quality. So that's not even a conversation, is it? I think with Antonio, you sort of question it because of the quality. With Bowen, you don't question the quality. He could easily fit into a much better team. Bowen work rate never stops. Yeah, I hope he carries it on against Spurs. He's going to be nice and rested, isn't he? Right. I'm nearly down at the bottom. Okay. I think I am down at the bottom. Oh, I'm a Chelsea fan. Would you swap Kudus for Madueke?
You don't, honestly, I would have to be absolutely off my fucking head to swap. I mean, don't get me wrong, I like Madueke, but there's no way I'm swapping him for Kudus.
I'd have to be off my head on horse tranquilizers to do that deal. That ain't fucking happening. That ain't happening.
It's never happening.
Yeah. How many did Traore miss against City? We dodged a bullet there. Yes. Well, Traore's Traore's just. You mean Adama Traore, the Adama Traore, the sprinter shaped bloke? Yeah. Is it him? Is that who we're talking about? I don't know.
I'm guessing so. I'm trying to think the other Traore.
But yeah, he's not the greatest. He's not the greatest finisher Traore, is he? He's not. But
no.
But
his goal scoring record's atrocious.
Yeah. No, that's right. Right. I don't rate Madueke at all. He's a scrub. I don't know what it means.
He's a good player, but he's no Kudus. There's no way you can compare him to Kudus. Yeah. Jesus Christ, no way.
Adama Traore is a magnificent specimen. I saw him warming up just before he came on and fucking rinsed Cresswell up at Wolves. He's a frightening bloke to actually look at. He's got muscles on muscles, right?
He looks like he should be a rugby player or something. He's just
got the the fast pace, the fast acceleration of a sprinter, and so
that means nothing if you haven't got the end product though. And I think that's the thing where he's been caught out in so many games. Because if he did have that, could you imagine how damaging he would be? It'd be frightening, wouldn't it, if he could finish?
Oh yeah, yeah. It'd be fucked running a 5K as well. He couldn't do that, right? Harsh for someone who broke out. Yeah, I think people are a little bit disrespectful, to be honest, of Antonio. He has done a lot for us. Listen, he's what he is.
Yeah, it's over 10 years though, Gav. I mean, I've seen all the records and everything else, but
he's kind of limited in terms of ability. But fuck me, he's made the most of that ability, isn't he? He's made.
Well, it is the question. He has, and do you know what? Love Antonio for what he's done for the club. Massive amounts of respect for him. But here's the thing, mate. He's been at West Ham for 10 years now. Imagine we had another striker that was a proper striker for 10 years. Do you not think that that person, whoever it would have been, would have smashed that record to pieces?
Well, I think
if Dean Ashton was fit for 10 seasons, you imagine 10 years for West Ham, could you imagine he would have smashed that record to pieces?
Of course he
would. I mean, this is the thing. That's how bad our striking situation has been. Is that Antonio, with full respect to him, has reached those levels and obviously broken those records. It's because we've never had a fucking striker that seems to be consistently with us for like 2 to 3 years that we're scoring goals. We've never had it.
But he's a winger. He's a winger. Yeah, and so is Bowen. He's a winger as well. So when you're talking about, some of the players who have scored goals, they're regularly, they're not usually strikers, are they? I mean, you'd have to go back to, I think even Andy Carroll got some regular goals, but never in big numbers.
Because he was injured so much, though, Gal. Yeah, he was always injured.
Yeah, but look at all of the players we've had. Look at all the strikers we've had. Even you go back to Bellamy, who got injured, who I absolutely loved. We've had so many strikers, and most of them have either got injured or failed miserably. And it turns out we're playing wingers as strikers yet again. So we sign yet another striker who's proven goal scorer. He ain't maybe the striker, the mobile, fast striker that we all need. And it's a bit odd that we signed him instead of Duran, but he's still a striker. He's more of a striker than Mickey will ever be. But where is he? Is he ever going to play for us? Who knows? I mean,
apparently eased in, isn't he? He's going to be eased in now.
I don't know. Is he fit again, or has he got to have an operation? I don't know.
There's been no word about him having an operation. The only thing I read recently is that he's going to be kind of phased in or eased into the team now slowly. So presumably that means him coming off the bench and just kind of getting minutes that way. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't think the injury's as bad as some people were saying. From what I understand,
I hope not, because I mean there seemed to be a bit of Hartson and Kitson.
That was in 1995.
Yeah, that was fucking ages ago, right? That was ages. That's nearly 30 years ago, Gary.
That's frightening.
30 years since we had the last decent striker pairing.
Well, look, when you think about it, just out of interest, just trying to think about this. When was the last time that we had a striker that banged in over 20 goals in a season in the Premier League? It was John Hartson, wasn't it? John Hartson,
but I was 25 when that happened. Fuck me. Look at me now. Look at me now, Gary.
You're still waiting for that goal scorer. But no, I'm pretty sure it's John Hartson who done that. One season, he scored an absolute pack full of goals. I can't think of a striker that's done it for West Ham since, 97, 98 season?
I was so gutted about Hartson because I loved the man, right? When he played that first season for us, me and my cousin Paul were standing talking, and we just said, look, this is a striker. He's going to be our striker for the next fucking 10 years. Look how young he is. Look how fucking good he is, right? He would run at defenses and they would just fall like pins, like bowling pins. He just bowl. You remember when he ran through the Arsenal defense, literally ran through it.
Yeah,
and scored. He was different class, and then the following season he was overweight.
Yeah, that's the thing though. We've had strikers that if they could have stayed fit, and it's a massive if they could have stayed fit, and not just in terms of making sure they're the right weight, because that was Hartson's problem, was it, more than the injuries?
Yeah,
but people like Hartson, like I said before, Dean Ashton, strikers like that. I mean, they could have been absolutely exceptional You know, it's such a shame. And I know we've spoken about it so many times before, but Dino, Jesus Christ. Imagine if that little shit Sean Wright Phillips didn't do his ankle in. He could have been we could have been talking about a fucking great at West Ham, couldn't we? He could have scored so many goals for us, Dean Ashton.
He might have been a great for West Ham and for England, right? Because he was top quality. Top quality.
Yeah.
And got fucking taken out by Sean Wright Phillips of all people.
Criminal, wasn't it?
What a waste of a career.
I used to look at Dino, and for me, he was like a hybrid of Sheringham and Shearer put together. You know, he could do both. He was so good, weren't he? Physical, strong, 2-footed. He had the lot. And even when he came back from injury, I think he could only play with his right after he came back from injury, but usually he could use his left. But he was still clinical for us. But the injuries just took its toll, didn't it? Such a shame.
I think, could you imagine what that partnership would have been like had Bellamy stayed fit and Ashton not got injured? That would have been, you imagine how many goals between them they would have scored. Fucking hell. I mean, that would make Cotty and McAvenny look stupid. I mean, that would be a mad partnership because he got us Craig Bellamy, didn't he?
They complement each other so well because Bellamy had the pace, didn't he? And he was also clinical. And then he got Dino who could hold the ball up and play him in, but equally as clinical as well, but just didn't have the pace that Bellamy had. But they would complement each other so well.
Yeah.
But do you know the one that I always missed? The one that I really, really hoped I would see that we never got to see because of injury would have been Dean Ashton and Carlos Tevez. That partnership would have been formidable, right? But obviously, Carlos Tevez was at West Ham when Dino was injured for that full season, weren't he? And then he left at the end of the season and Dino came back. So could you imagine Tevez and Dean Ashton up front? Jeez.
Different class. But so we get these strikers, we get these names. You know, even look at Chicharito, who scored goals all his career, comes to West Ham. Yeah, he scores a couple, but you know, off the bench, but he can't get a game, right? It's just
he played one up top on his own, and that was never his game, is it?
I know. It's just a sick joke sometimes. We have had some decent strikers in terms of who's the guy who scored the goal against for Chelsea against Liverpool to nick the title away from him when Gerrard fell over. What was his name?
Denver Bar.
Yeah, he was a good striker. He was a good striker.
Great. Yeah, but again, shame we went down, didn't we? And then obviously he moved on.
Yeah,
he was a good player. Yeah, Denver Bar was.
Mike Small was quality. Yeah, Mike Small was quality. Yeah, as if. And also, I liked Valencia and I liked Saka as well. Our Saka, not that Saka. The Afro Saka was fucking quality. He really was.
But again, injuries took its toll. Yeah, and he never did well after he left West Ham either, did he?
No, he didn't. I also like Canute. I thought Canute was a top striker. Defoe was good, even though he turned into Dimini Judas when he left.
Some interesting names in there, actually. Matthew Rush wasn't a striker.
Hugo was top quality.
He was a right mid, wasn't he? Matthew Rush.
Yeah, he was. Yeah. Skamaka Haller was decent. No, they were. There's no two ways about it. It just got used wrong. Diamante, a lot of people like Diamante. I liked him as well. He was a good player. Yeah, could take a free kick as well, couldn't he? What's Samasia Boo, right? Samasia Boo. I really liked him. He was like a cult hero. He was like a boo.
He was. Like 200 grand. 200 grand he cost us. He was an absolute bargain, wasn't he? One that really came off.
Yeah. Yeah, I know you were joking about Mike Small, but I do have a good memory of Mike Small when he scored the winner against Arsenal that time. I was there. Loved it. Drogba never got more than 15 league goals. Oh, he's a bastard to play against. So he was, wasn't he? And he brought other players in.
Oh, yeah.
Paolo One Shop, I actually liked him. You know, I thought he was a good player. You watch that. Go back and watch that. The final second leg against Metz of the Intertobob Cup. One of the best performances. All-star West Ham players. I mean, everyone was playing that team. Moncur in his pomp. You know, Di Canio, Sinclair, Lampard, Rio. Fucking hell, he should have. Oh my God, I watched it a little while. I couldn't believe it. Couldn't believe how good we were. But that was Harry. Who, to his credit, if he had our team today, we'd probably be playing with. We'd definitely be playing a back three, and we'd be playing with, definitely a minimum of 6 very, very attacking players, wouldn't we?
He's come out and said it, though. I think there was an interview with him quite recent, and he said that he would literally let those guys off let them run riot. And
If we're going back to David Cross, I loved Pop Robson. Robson, but Crossy was brilliant. He was superb, different class.
Shout out to Jerome Bora. I remember him.
Jerome Bora, article about Samasia Boo. He still loved us, Samasia Boo. Yeah. And that was we were the first club to do that ooh thing. Arsenal copied it the following
So
week
true.
with Canu.
Yeah.
They've never invented a song in their life, as we know. Not it's a song. Drogba taught Chelsea how to dive. Yeah. Look, you'd have loved him if he played for you, right? You really would. Ian Dowie, I tell you what, Claire liked him a lot, right? He put in a great shift. Big fan. Got a picture on the wall. But he got Hammer of the Year once, didn't he, for effort? It was
Ian Dowie?
When it runner-up Hammer of the Year. Runner-up Hammer of the Year he got.
Would that have been the season he
basically
joined us when he basically came in because Radachayu and all those guys just didn't live up to it? Was that it? Or no, it was when Boogers signed and he was crap and then they got Dowie, didn't they?
It was the equivalent of when a kid gets a certificate for taking part, right? Only he took part and he tried really hard. Players like Di Canio wouldn't be centre forwards. No, you're right. Actually, he would be a 10. But I don't know. He scored a lot of goals. Great finisher, Di Canio. He knew where a goal was, didn't he? Skamaka, Okay, Jerome Bora. Oh yeah, he died, Jerome Bora.
He lost an eye, didn't he, Jerome Bora? He was living in Japan, lost an eye and got stabbed or something, didn't he? I think. Yeah.
It was very strange. You think Skamaka flopped because Moyes' system didn't help him flourish? Yeah, I think playing up front by himself just no good, right? No good. Is this name as many strikers as we can? Well, yeah. Have we missed any, Nige? I don't know.
So many. Sure. There's so many. There's so many strikers.
We just started down this striker route, Nige, and we just don't stop. So anyway,
we could be talking about strikers all night, mate. That's the reality.
I think we named most decent ones for the last 20 years.
What about Benny McCarthy? Benny McCarthy, big Benny McCarthy.
What is this? If we'd stayed up in 2003, Drogba would have joined us. Oh, fucking really?
No. Do you know what? Right,
another one.
No, this is true, right? So
Alexis Salas, yeah.
No. Marcelo Salas was a player that we nearly signed.
Yeah,
Andre Shevchenko. Andre Shevchenko. Harry Adams turned him down. And also Didier Drogba was also a genuine target for us before, right? There was a lot of talk about. I think it was the season after. That's when Chelsea signed him. So we have literally been so close to signing what would have been exceptionally world-class strikers, and yet we came so close, but yet so far. That's true about Drogba because I remember that.
Why are we so unlucky? Why are we so unlucky with strikers? Come on, let's lift this curse, West Ham.
I think it's because I don't know what it is with strikers. I just sometimes feel we're not willing to shell out the money. It was certainly the case back in the day. You could arguably say that maybe more recently we've put money out there for the likes of Skamaka and players like that. But back in the day, for some strange reason, we just didn't push, a little bit more money out to get those players like Drogba.
So Bora was a doorman when he got stabbed in the eye. Fucking hell.
Yeah, I meant something like that. But he also was this out in Japan? I'm sure it was out in Japan.
Don't know.
Do you know the other striker that we nearly signed as well, but he signed for Arsenal a season after we were linked with him was Adi Bayor. That was another one we nearly got.
Yeah. Oh fuck. Yeah.
So many, mate.
We got Teddy Sheringham, Trevor Morley, who I liked, always worth a free kick, wasn't he? Dave Swindler, bloody obscure. Neymar. What?
Yeah,
we nearly had him as well. Christ.
11 million for Neymar. We didn't want to spend it.
Golden Sullivan signed 50 forwards, 48 of them rubbish.
What about Mido? Do you remember we got Mido?
He was quality in, wasn't he?
Marwan Shamak as well. Do you remember him?
Yeah, he was quality too. Yeah, Dowie was wasted as footballer. He should have been a model. Yeah, absolute top quality.
Is that Claire saying?
Yeah. So we got Diamante, we got Mido. We're going to call into this show. Hang on. Where are we going? We're done. David Speedy. That's the last one. David Speedy. No more strikers.
Clive
All the entries for strikers. Scarred. Who's that geezer? Mike Newell. And that geezer that came in from Liverpool. Who's that geezer that came from Liverpool on loan? Who looked like an overgrown baby? What's his name?
From Liverpool? Who are you talking about?
Just pulled the thing out of here. Clive Best. Yeah.
Who's from Liverpool? Are you talking about who's from Liverpool?
No, we got someone on loan. Who's the big geezer? I can see his face. Like Harry's reign.
What? He came from Liverpool?
He came from Liverpool, yeah. Neil Mellor, that's him.
Neil Mellor. Yeah.
Neil Mellor. Yeah, I know it.
Yeah, but Neil Mellor was with us in the Championship, though, was he not?
I don't know.
Yeah, he was.
I can't remember. Benny McCarthy, David Connolly, Clive Best, Robbie Keane. He was shit for us, wasn't he?
Jeremy Ali.
Oh God, we've had so many. It's awful, isn't it? This is a really bad list. My God,
it's frightening, isn't it? Robbie Keane was fucking shit for us.
He was for us. Yeah.
Who else did we have? Who was that guy that we signed from Sunderland? He used to play for Man United as well, striker, French guy. Do you remember him? He was on loan for us, got a couple of games, then we just didn't play him.
I can't remember that.
Please, this is going to do my nutting. If someone in the chat remembers this, I'd really appreciate that. But he was a guy that was
Les Ferdinand. I did like Sir Les, actually. I like Sir Les. He was brave. I can only imagine having Sir Les in his pomp because he used to put his head, where others feared to tread. Stuart Pearson, it was quality for a season, wasn't
he? God, who is that player? This is really doing my head in now. I'm trying to remember that player.
Yeah.
Danny Ings. He's still with us. We can't.
Danny Ings. David Kelly, one leg longer than the other.
God.
Yeah.
Diego Tristan.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. See, he was Oh, there he is. David Bellion. That's the guy. Yeah, Real History of West. David Bellion. Do you remember him?
That's Nigel.
Yeah.
He's bound to get it. Yeah. There's one more that comes to mind, right? Who's that geezer who was bloody useless, who we paid too much money for? About 7 million we paid for him just around the Icelandics being in trouble and West Ham being in trouble. We got this guy, this little, who's supposed to be a striker. What was his name? What was the one?
Oh, Franco. Franco.
No, what Franco? No. What was his name? Savio. That's him. Savio.
God.
Thank you, Damien.
Did he come from Liverpool?
Damien. It was like a bad dream, Savio. It was like a bad dream. No, I didn't say from Liverpool.
Who's the player you talking about from Liverpool, though?
No, that was Neil Miller.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry. Miles away. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Savio Insurreco. Bad dream.
£8 million for a player.
No way we paid 8 million for him. No way we paid 8 million for him. No way. Do
you know what happened to him?
There's so many of them. This is so depressing.
I know. It's crazy, isn't it? So many.
Yes. As Danielle says, Pop Robson came to us twice and he was excellent both times. Just homesick. Couldn't stand it down south in the days when you didn't do it, right? And Jimmy Greaves couldn't quite make it across London either. It was all right for a while. Right, let's leave it there before more fucking... they keep coming in. Eamon Dolan. I used to hate his goal celebration, that jig thing that he used to do. But he was all right as a youngster. Paolo Futre, and number 10. Futre, number 10.
I like Radicchio. I know that I thought he was a very good player, just never did it for us, weren't physically able to do it in the Prem, but he was clinical.
Cadieri, very good. Right, let's leave it there. No more. I'm not going to put any more up. I'm done. I'm not going to be tempted. Thank you all in chat. Cheers, Chris. Thanks for your company.
Cheers,
so only another week and we're back to the Premier League. I hope Loppy'S been watching this because he'll have a few tips of how to stop Spurs. But we're going to beat them 7-6 anyway, so that don't really matter. Anyway, thank you all for your lovely messages in the chat. See you soon. Get on your wines.